Welcome back to Making Money Matter, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Kerry Stevenson. I've asked Travis Schwarzenegger to come back and chat to us today. He's the managing director of Many Peak Minerals. ASX code is MPK. I've asked him to come back because they're getting results coming out. They're in Côte d'Ivoire and they've got a really interesting project. Now, I last spoke to you, Travis, in March, and since then, clearly the market likes what you're doing and what you're talking about. Because when I spoke to you, I know your share price is about, and I know it's not all about share price, but I just want people to understand that clearly people are liking what you're doing. They like what you're seeing. And right now, your share price in January is about 19 cents. Today, I think you closed at about 64. I want to find out in today's conversation with you what you're doing right now, where the value is going to come from in the future, and also potentially what makes this different from all the other ones out there. Because if they want to go back and watch our conversation in March, they'll find out all about it. But let's talk about the news since you and I last spoke.
Yeah, I think since we last spoke, we've drilled a couple of what we call scissor holes into the deposit. We're drilling a fairly large pipe-like intrusion at our Ferke gold project, and we have probably a 10 to 16 kilometer long mineralized shear zone. It's kind of a 10-kilometer north-south strike, and then splays into multiple structures. I think potential throughout, but we've come across a small intrusion that when that mineralized shear hits that intrusion, it's shattering it like shattering a piece of glass, cracks it apart.
Oh,
And the gold mineralizing fluids kind of fills into all those cracks. So a bit like a stockwork, although technically that's probably not the right word in geology. Stockwork implies random orientations.
no,
Yes, sorry, but
I
then
like you. I actually like you to make it really. I like the shattering, and I like all that sort of stuff because I'm not a geologist. Some of my viewers need to understand in basic terms what it is. You've got it,
yeah.
when you say it's shattered. I just want to understand that a little bit more. Is that unusual for a deposit, a gold deposit?
No, there's to the south of us is a deposit called Bonicro. It's probably a similar style of mineralization. It's not uncommon, an intrusion system in the middle of these. We call them orogenic shear hosted. So they're normally on a shear. If you get some kind of what we call a rheologic contrast, a competency contrast that causes the structure to refract. So same as light moving from glass to water bends, the structures when they move through a more competent unit also bend. And that bending gives you dilation and room for fluids to come in and precipitate out that gold. So the advantage of this is not only is the structure bending into this intrusion, but the brittleness of it, instead of it shearing and moving ductily, it's just shattering it and creating even more porosity and space to drop out fluid. So it's giving us a very solid, pardon the pun, a solid target for drilling. And on top of that, quite visually characteristic. It's literally black and white for us. So it's a white granodiorite to tonalite composition rock, in and amongst some very black to dark green sediments. So
What does that
yeah, it's
mean
just
what
a
does that
standout
mean
target.
in my terms?
Um, yeah, well, that we can follow it and see it visibly in the core. It's a bit of cost savings for us in assaying. So we're starting to drill deeper now. We're drilling some longer holes, but when we hit it, we know when we're in it. We're starting to selectively, early in exploration, we just sample everything. We're to a stage now where we're getting a bit more confident about what we're sampling, and we're assaying only appears to be mineralized intervals. From time to time, we'll assay some extra just to be sure. But yeah, what it's going to be coming out in the next results, and I think since we last spoke, is the scissor holes that we drilled. We saw an extension probably 188 meters beyond our deepest hole drilling perpendicular to the intrusion. And I guess the long-winded explanation of the cracking is why we're drilling down it. So a lot of people would think, well, these guys have just done we call them a director's special, drilled right down the guts of the intrusion. But we probably needed that information statistically to understand the distribution of these veins moving in multiple orientations. Sometimes we're drilling right down a vein, sometimes perpendicular to them. So we need multiple drill orientations to get some confidence behind a future resource and reserve. But in the doing so, we've drilled right down the intrusive body and extended it close to 200 meters below our deepest hole. So that's given us confidence to take a step back, start doing some deeper drilling in a different orientation. And we're gradually showing that this whole intrusive body, which initially we thought would be limited to probably a 200 to 250 meter pit depth. One of those deeper holes gave us 30 meters at 3.95 grams per ton. We're also starting to define a plus 10 gram per ton corridor shallowly in the deposit, which has quite a large footprint. So all these things are adding up to low strip ratio, good economics for driving a much deeper pit. And we're starting to see economic viability to 350, potentially even a 400 meter pit floor. So we're going to start to chase this thing down to 400 meters depth, and we're going to see some volume increase from the work that we do over the next couple of months.
Got a couple of questions for you. When you first got a hold of this project, the Ferke project, did you understand exactly what you had your hands on? Were you confident that this was going to deliver as much as it is starting to deliver?
I think it's within the intrusion body. It's delivering a little more than I hoped. We thought perhaps the grade would drop a little bit as we went down. That was the evidence, but that's related to the plunge that we see. So we did anticipate, the previous drilling went straight directly below it. There's only about a 200 meter strike extent of the intrusion at surface. So we're now extending that to over 400 meter extent. It's still 200 meters at surface, but we've extended it to 200 meters south in the subsurface with that southerly plunge. And yeah, it appears to have some very solid widths, and also still has the plus 3 gram per ton intercepts that we were seeing in the shallow parts of the deposit being replicated down deeper. So yeah, it's I think delivering a bit more than we hoped. The real upside for Ferke and why we took it on is we don't believe this is the only intrusion like this in 10 kilometers of strike. It wouldn't be uncommon for the large batholith, the big intrusion next to us, to throw up multiple of what we call these as finger porphyries, small finger intrusions. They come off the melt. There's a big granite off to the west of us, very large. It would have cooled and crystallized, and deeper down it would have had a melt in the chamber at the base. And over time, that would have fractionated, changed composition. And every time there's a fault or a fracture, a little squirt of that magma would come up into a fault intersection or a zone of dilation in these structures that are being mineralized. So yeah, I don't think this is the only intrusion we have in our 10 kilometers of strike. But we're under a laterite plateau, which is challenging geochemically to explore.
What does that mean? What does that mean in layman terms, if you like?
In layman terms, this used to be a rainforest a few 100,000 years ago. All the soil had all the iron leached out of it. So in short, present day, we have kind of a 2 to 5 meter thick layer of high iron that's cemented. We call it ferrocrete. And that process of putting all that iron and concentrating it, what used to be the water table a long time ago, also mobilized all of the gold, copper, arsenic, everything we would like to use to look for gold.
Yep.
Is mobilized out of that 5 meter horizon at the surface. So it's a very thin layer of overburden, but it means we're geochemically kind of blind to what's underneath. So we need some type of auger, termite, other sampling methods to really define our geochemical footprint. So it just takes us a bit more time and a bit more drilling actually to get in and understand where we want to be.
How much drilling have you done? How much drilling is coming up? And talk to us about the results that are coming up. Those that have been, those that are coming.
All right, we've done 8,000 meters of auger, which we announced results for in January, generated some excellent targets. We followed that up with about 6,000 meters of air core, which is the deeper drilling that's going to about 30 meters depth for us. We expect those results in the next week or two. That's very wide space drilling, testing that regional potential that we believe can really expand the project and give us substantial growth. So concurrent with that, we're drilling the intrusion at the Warigi prospect within the Ferke project. And that's what's giving us our down plunge extension of the fairly high grade intrusion hosted mineralization we're seeing. And I think what's really given us traction in the market. But Yeah, that'll continue to deliver results. We'll be doing about 12,000 meters this year. We've probably reported about 3,000 meters of a 12,000 meter program for this year. That was a 2,000 meter phase 1 in January, another 2,000 meter phase 2, which we reported half of a month ago. I'll have the balance of those and the start of our phase 3 results in the next week or two. And then, yeah, we'll be putting out results every 3 to 4 weeks for the next couple of months as we continue to drill over the next 3 months.
There's a wet season coming. Is there a wet season coming up where you can't do drilling?
We can. We're currently also drilling RC now. I've got 8,000 meters of RC drilling going in.
Okay.
That just commenced earlier in the month. So I have 3 rigs at site. In July, when the wet season's probably full swing, we'll look to demobilize that RC rig. But we can probably drill diamond right through the wet season. An RC rig drills several holes per day and moves around a lot. It's a bit more challenging and difficult in the wet season, but a diamond rig we set up and we're on one drill site for several days, less moving. And we are, as I said, on this plateau, which is fast draining. So yeah, we believe we'll be able to keep diamond rigs running through the wet season this year.
Resource to reserve economics. Talk to us about, is it way too early to talk about that, or is this the sort of deposit where you can?
Yeah, I think we can talk about, well, the conversion rate, I think we can talk about, because we're still looking for our maiden resource. I think we want to keep drilling and push that to as big a number as you can, obviously, which the earliest at this stage would be early next year. But the shape and geometry that we're seeing of this deposit and the grade is such that, yeah, as I mentioned before, we can push quite a deep pitch shell to it. And I think a lot is going to convert from resource to reserve when it comes time for that, because it's all quite high grade, well constrained, and it's in a cylindrical pipe. So just the geometry of the deposit's well suited for open pit extraction with the higher graded surface. You're going to have very potentially high early payback in the economic model for this type of deposit. So yeah, all bodes well for the economics, and yeah, I think you would end up with a very high conversion from resource to reserve.
That's what I was going to ask you about, the conversion from resource to reserve, because the average is about what, 40 to 60? Yeah,
no, I would ballpark it around 60% is usually a good conversion rate. But yeah, we see projects that we see with the geometry and shapes such as ours are typically kind of 80 to 90%. So on the upper end of that conversion. So yeah, we expect getting to 1 million ounces is good. People expect that 1 million ounce threshold for economics, but when only 40 or 60% converts into reserve, I think if we push that number up, then yeah, we're pretty satisfied with that 1 million ounce mark as being something economically viable for us.
That makes all the difference, doesn't it? That conversion rate from, if you can get it up. I mean, that's high. If the average 60 and you're saying we can probably get it to 80 to 90, that makes the economics just that much stronger. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, that'll definitely be a big driver for us and adds value.
Well, there's a lot going on. There's a lot happening. You must be pretty pleased. Just before I let you go, you do have four project sites, is that right? But is it all the focus now on Ferke because of what it's delivering for you?
No, I've just finished an RC drilling program at our Ogene project in the northwest of the country, where we're sitting along strike from the Newmont Awali JV. So we are drilling some targets along trend from their BBM discovery. Should have results for those within the next month as well. Our Baga project is much earlier stage. We've completed some stream sediment sampling, and I currently have crews on the ground collecting soils, and we'll collect as many soils as we can before the wet season. But probably a exploration program we'll have to circle back to in September, October, in the next dry season to complete.
So there's plenty happening out there. There's lots of news from Ferke, but you've got some other projects. It's like a pipeline, so you've got plenty of news flow coming up for the rest of this year. Would that be correct?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, all at different stages, but Ogene's at a position now where we feel we could be in this make an initial discovery, initial drill intercept in the current program that we have, which would be exciting. Baga obviously still building towards generating drill targets, but yeah, start to be able to talk about definitive targets within that large land position will be an exciting milestone for that. But yeah, the real value add is as we progress towards maiden resource at our Ferke Gold project.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's a plenty of news. I'm going to have Travis come on, possibly just do a quick update when you get some of those results out in the next, did you say the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, definitely results in the next couple of weeks, Ojene within the next month. So yeah, quite a bit of news coming out over the next 4 weeks. So yeah, definitely be happy to catch up again as early as the next couple of weeks. Be fun.
Well, let's do that. But congratulations, as I said right at the start, you know, your share price, the market likes what you're doing. Your market cap's still not that high, but the share price, market's responding to some great news coming out. So congratulations. And I love that high conversion. We'll keep chatting and keeping the market updated. Thanks, Travis.
Thank you, Kerry. Appreciate your time. Enjoy your day.